Hey guys, what's up? My name is Anthony, and welcome to another edition of BNA Sports Talk. Now, for the past couple days, I've been talking about Daniel Jones and the Giants, and I've been talking about how bright of a future they have. But I haven't really mentioned the other teams in this NFC East, and today I really want to highlight who has the brightest future here. Now, this obviously changes so quickly in the NFL. You had, up-and-coming teams like the Browns. They're supposed to be the next big thing, and all of a sudden the Ravens are the team. Then you had the Colts are supposed to be this insurgent team, and then Andrew Luck retires. So there are a lot of examples of teams that are just like, oh yeah, they're going to be the kings of this division. Then they only win the division 1-2 years, like the Atlanta Falcons, and then they fall off for a variety of reasons. But I really do think that the Giants have the brightest future in this division, and I'm going to highlight why. So first of all, let's start off with the Redskins. The Redskins, they're at a quarterback carousel. Last year, they had to start a guy named Josh Johnson at quarterback. They had to start Mark Sanchez at quarterback. They had 5 different quarterbacks last year, and now they're on like their 4th, 5th option. They have Case Keenum, and as much as you want to say, oh yeah, we're happy with Case Keenum, as much as they would say, we're disciplined, we know what we're doing. No, they really don't, and Ron Rivera is and Mike McCarthy, for that matter, too, are top coaching candidates for this team, but they're really far away. They do have talent with Ryan Kerrigan, but he's getting old. He's already in his 8th, 9th year. They have guys that they got in like the 5th round, like Matty Ioannidis. They have that defensive end or linebacker that they drafted last year pretty high. They have Montez Sweat, who's been dealing with injuries. They have some talent on this team, but overall, they're a hobble-jobble. I call them the gang of misfits in that secondary. You have DRC, Landon Collins, Josh Norman. They all hate Dave Gettleman. And I don't think it's going to work. They still have a whiles to go with talent. They don't have the talent to play well. They did have pretty good games this year when they played Green Bay. They allowed only 20 points. But they allowed 41 points to the Giants' defense. They have games where they allowed so many points. And their coaching is good. I really do believe in their coaching. It seems like no matter who they get, Bryce Callahan is a good coach. They have this pretty good offensive coordinator too, that they think is like the next Sean McVay. I think that they should hire from within. Their main problems stems from their talent and their management. Now, obviously, they're rumored to get rid of Bruce Allen this offseason, and that's going to be a really important step, but I still think they're far ways away. You think in the first year or two, the guy's going to change the entire culture of the team? I don't really think so. And this franchise is a hobble-jobble mess. As long as they have Dan Snyder at that top position, I don't trust them to hire anybody that good. It's a whole thing with the Redskins. They have foundational issues. They're the definition of mediocrity. For like 8 years, they were 500. That was their average record, 500. They're 7-9 every single year. They're 8-8 every single year. In the past couple of years, they've been, worse than that. But they're the definition of an average team. And, they have a lot of mismanagement with Trent Richardson. How do you let that go? They're your Pro Bowl, left tackle. How do you let him go? Kind of like that. You lied with your medical information. You have, we have Eric Flowers on your team now, who they switched to guard, and he's doing a little bit better. And you do have Brandon Sheriff. But they still have a long ways to go. They're a mess of a franchise right now. They don't know which direction they're going in, and I don't trust them. I'm not sure about you guys. I don't trust them, and no matter which way they go. They'll win a couple games. They'll keep it interesting, but when it comes down to it, they don't know what they're doing. And next I want to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, who are right now they're 8-7. And with the win, they clinched the NFC East, and they have great coaching. With Doug Peterson, their offensive coordinator, who they just brought in, he's apparently in line for a potential job. And obviously, they won the Super Bowl a couple years ago, but, this team only wins when their backs are against the wall. They're not a team that can win, they can win and lose any given week. They're like the Houston Texans. And, any single game, they'll be able to come back. They beat the Giants 17-3. When they were down 17-3. Against the game against Minnesota earlier this year, they were down by 2 touchdowns, and they kept on scratching and clawing. They're never out of the game. They're pretty good drafters. They got Miles Sanders. Dallas Goedert, they got in the 3rd round the other year. So they're always going to have a plurality of talent. But for some reason, it seems like in the beginning of every year, it's just like, they have the best talent. And then people get injured. Like, I don't know. Do you guys have talent? Do you guys not have talent? They have a smart front office. They brought in, like, the Deshaun Jackson for that deep threat. And they signed Carson Wentz now to a 4-year deal, and that's what's going to drive their success over the next couple of years. Can Carson Wentz make the easy throws? And I don't know. He's constantly throwing over receivers like that are right there. His leadership, you're not sure if he has the locker room. He's going to need a win this year. He's going to need to win a playoff game this year in order to have the trust of his front office. If you think about it, they may not even make the playoffs this year. A team like the Eagles, you could say, their backs are against the wall. They don't have a lot of talent. But when your quarterback's getting paid $34 million a year, I'm expecting him to lift the team. I'm not expecting him to fold down. You're paying him, like a sixth of the salary of the entire team because the salary is around $180 million, the cap. It comes to a point where you have to perform. I don't care about your left tackle getting injured. I don't care about all of that. These guys are talented for a reason. These guys, there's a reason why they're in the NFL. And all you have to do is win a couple of games, and they lost to Miami. You can't lose that game, and if they did, they'd be in the playoffs right now, that for sure. And we don't know. We have to see what happens today. This is recorded before the games happen today. Obviously, my opinions may change after today. If the Eagles blow out the Giants, we'll be like, oh yeah, the Giants weren't really that close. They're 4-12. The next is the Cowboys, and they're in a hell world of trouble. We'll talk more about the Dallas Cowboys later. I want to make a separate video about them. But who I said in the beginning of the year, their corners scare me. I'm like, they don't have really a lockdown corner on this team. Byron Jones, I don't know. Jeff Heath, I'm not confident in that. And then all of a sudden they lose Leighton Vander Esch, and they always have a problem with drugs. Somebody retiring. Something on this team always gets in their way. Something always gets in the way. Stephen A. Smith is right. They're an accident waiting to happen. And, this with Randy Gregory, there was drugs. With Robert Quinn, I think he had a little bit trouble with injuries in the year, but I think he's settled down with that. They had they had a not Pro Bowl, but they had a pretty good linebacker this offseason who just said, I can't stay off the weed and I have to quit. All right, that's not a good locker. That's a sign of major problems for this team. Where do they go with coach? Do you go with Lincoln Riley, who just left 63 points to the to the LSU Tigers? I know LSU is good, but I don't know. Do you go with him? Do you go with Urban Meyer? Do you go with a locker room presence guy? I thought Jason Garrett was a locker room presence guy, and he doesn't seem to be working. Jerry Jones seems to be getting in the way of everything here. Does he take a step back? He had the whole thing with Ezekiel Elliott. That's another distraction. But they have, according to Madden earlier in this year, the Eagles and the Cowboys are the top 2 talented rosters in the league. And they're the worst 2 teams for a chance to win the division. Come on. And they have talent on the offense. They have Randall Cobb. They have Michael Gallup. They have Amari Cooper. And it seems like they're always getting in their way. You have an amazing offensive line. You have an amazing running back. Eventually put the shit together and make things work. I know you have Kellen Moore's a young guy, but it comes to a point where you have to execute. You have to win those big games. And Eagles, they've proven they can win the big games. Dallas, I thought they were able to. They showed signs of last year being changed, but they're right back to where they were. They're right back to that 8-8 average team. The Dallas Cowboys are a mess. Again, I will make a separate video. I want to dive a little bit more into their problems rather than the surface level problems that everyone knows. I'm just trying to bring up the point that the Giants are not too far off in this division. I know there are 8 divisions, but here's the position I think the Giants are in. You have your quarterback. You're not paying him. With the Cowboys, you're going to have to pay Dak Prescott, I guess, franchise tag him, and that's going to create mixed messages in the locker room. Who's going to pay who? You still haven't paid Saquon. That's going to be I think it's going to be a problem coming up. What do you pay him? Do you pay him $20 million a year? What are you paying him? I think we should have to get that locked down fairly quickly. Let's just say that. And then, so you have Daniel Jones. You think you have your quarterback. That's it. You have your quarterback. You have an offensive line. Nick Gates looks like he's getting better. You're probably going to draft Andrew Thomas. I think that's your guy right now, Andrew Thomas. You get him out of your left tackle. You move Nate Solder to the right tackle. You have John Jalapeno at center. I think Nick Gates can fill in for a center. I know he's not amazing, but I think he has the ability to adjust. Then left guard Will Hernandez. Right guard I think Zeitler. I'm not sure what his status is. And all of a sudden, now we don't need that many wide receivers. I would like a deep threat, a bigger deep threat, but Darius Slayton is good enough. He hasn't really had the case of drops like we thought he would have in the beginning of the season. You have Golden Tate. You have Sterling Shepard, who's dealing with, concussion problems. Evan Ingram, I'd trade him for like a 3rd, 4th round pick to a team like maybe the Patriots or the Jets. maybe get that 3rd round pick from the Jets back. And I think they're in a good spot. All of a sudden, you have Caden Smith, a pretty decent tight end. Maybe draft another tight end in the later rounds, a good blocking tight end. And they're in a good spot. The only position that's confusing is John Mara and Steve Tisch. Right now, they're conflicting reports saying one wants to fire them all, and one wants to, is undecided. I think John Mara is undecided, because now we're off of Eli, and that's a big weight off our shoulders. Eli Manning is apparently going to retire in this offseason. So, what direction do we go in? Do we keep Pat Shurmur one more year to help the development of Daniel Jones? Because Pat Shurmur has, as much as you want to say, he has been pivotal in the development of Daniel Jones. I think what the Giants should do at this point is not fire Pat Shurmur, but make the timeout guy or challenge guy somebody different. Let him manage Daniel Jones. Hey, you're the Daniel Jones guy. Make sure he's dropping dimes. And then get somebody else. It's hard to demote him, but if you can bring in a better defensive guy, because the Giants, I'm sick of being sorry at defense. But the Giants have a plurality of talent on this defense. You have Deon Buchanan, who was a former 1st-round pick. There's a lot of talent. Dexter Lawrence. You could just rattle off all the names who are high-round picks. DeAndre Baker, Janoris Jenkins, who left, but he was a 1st-round pick. We're pretty close, but I think we can't get a constant pass rush. We're good at run stopping, but we're averaging 3.9 yards per carry. But I think that's partially because we've been down in so many games that it doesn't really matter. Like the team is just rushing against us. We're stopping the run, but they're not really trying to win. So I think that stat is a little bit inflated. I think we're around an average run defense rather than one of the top 5 run defenses like the stats may say. But, this Dave Gettleman has proven he can draft a bunch of guys. Coaching up the guys has been a problem. Lorenzo Carter, you wish you would have taken a step ahead. O'Shane Zimenez, you wish, just take one more step ahead. But this team has always proven that they can have fight. Again, do we only win at the end of the season, or can we win big games? We had that game against the Cardinals that we should have won. We were favored 7 points in. I think we're favored by 7 points going into that game. And people were saying, this is my best bet of the week, the Giants +7. And we lost straight up. So the Giants do have a lot of problems. I'm not saying that they're perfect, but you have a young quarterback. You still have 3-4 years before you have to pay him. And now they can bring in a bunch of talent on this team. Bring in some linebackers that are good coverage guys. David Mayo is good against the run, but he's not really good against the pass. But, that's pretty much all I have to say. Again, this is just surface-level stuff. I want to dive more into depth as we get into the offseason. I think that's going to be really fun. But for now, this is all I have. Let me know who you think has the brightest future in the NFC East. If I had to guess, the most division crowns to this team, to this division, would go to the Giants in the next 5 years. I think the Giants can win at least 2, maybe 3, and win a couple playoff games eventually. We just have to be able to win those big games. Like against the Patriots, we were in that game in the beginning, and then all of a sudden we just let it go. We should have beaten the Cardinals. If we would have beaten the Cardinals and the Lions, we would be playing and not blowing the lead against the Eagles. I know there's 3 ifs. But we'd be playing for the division this week. And we'd be favored. A lot of people have the Giants as the best bet. Anyway, hope you guys did enjoy this video. We're getting healthy now. I think we have confidence going to the next year. There are a lot of questions to answer for the Giants. But I hope you guys did enjoy this video. And I'll talk to you guys in my next one. Bye, guys.